everyone, it's Nell, and I'm here today with another book review. Today's review is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. This book was just published in May of 2018. It is a gothic mystery reminiscent of Agatha Christie or Hitchcock. I enjoyed this book enough. I gave it 3.5 stars. We have Harriet, or Hal to her friends. She is utterly alone in the world. Her mother has recently passed away and she has taken over her tarot card stall. She is behind on her bills, and to get some more money, she has taken a loan from a loan shark. The money is now due. The balance of it is well beyond the amount that she had initially borrowed, and she's struggling trying to figure out how she's going to pay that money back. Not only is the money due, but the moneylender Smith has physically threatened her as well. After she receives this threat from Smith, she goes home to her apartment to find a mysterious letter. This letter tells her that she has inherited a large sum and that she needs to go to this estate in the country to get her inheritance. Hal knows that the letter is not intended for her. She's not the Harriet referred to in the letter, but she is desperate for money, so she goes along with it anyway. She travels to Trepassen. It is a large Gothic estate, somewhat in disrepair, and she attempts to fool the family to see if she can inherit this sum of money. When we get to Trepassen, we meet the large cast of characters. First, you have Harding. He is the eldest brother, his wife Mitzi, and their 2 children. Next is Abel. We meet him and his partner Edward. He had a falling out with his mother and was somewhat disinherited because of his lifestyle. Next we have Ezra. He is the youngest son, and his twin sister Margarita is Hal's supposed mother. Then we have Mrs. Warren, the creepy housekeeper. Lastly, we have Robert Treswick, who is the solicitor and executor of the estate. Again, as I said, I found this novel to be a very enjoyable read. I was engaged throughout. I listened to this as an audiobook. I flew through it. I didn't want to stop. I wanted to find out all the pieces of the mystery. I wanted to figure out how Hal fit into this family, how she fit into this, what happened with her mother, her backstory. I loved the setting of this novel. I think the settings are where Ruth Ware really excels in her writing. You have this creepy Gothic estate. I loved the house. I even loved the pier where Hal had her tarot card stand. Ruth Ware really builds the tension. Hal is in this creepy house. She's in this attic room. We have this crazy cast of characters. There are threats. You want Hal to leave. As a reader, you want her to flee, but at the same time, she can't. She is desperate for this money, for the inheritance. And so that really builds the tension of, is she better off leaving and facing the moneylender without the money? Or should she stay and try to survive these characters to get Harriet's inheritance? I also like the tarot cards. They were a really fun aspect to this. Hal's mother was a tarot card reader, and when she passes away, Hal takes over her stand. Hal does not believe in the supernatural or occult elements of the tarot cards, but she uses them as a way to read people and understand situations. She does numerous tarot card readings through this novel. I really enjoyed that, and I liked how it again added to that creepy Gothic feel of this novel. Another element that really added to the Gothic feel were the magpies. They were these birds. They were mentioned throughout in the opening. Mr. Treswick mentioned them as well. And I just really enjoyed them. They really added this creepy feel to the novel. I also really enjoyed the diary. Hal's mother left a diary, which adds some pieces to the puzzle. I'll go into it further in the next section, but as a whole, I did enjoy the diary. I liked how it linked us to the past. It helped fill in some pieces as far as the family, what happened, give us some clues, transition us from scene to scene as we progress in this plot. While I did enjoy the novel, again, it was fun, it was quick, it did have some shortcomings in my opinion. As I said, I enjoyed the diary. However, I thought Ware could have done a little bit more with it. I think things were too explicitly laid out with the diary. We got too many names, too many clues. Things could have been more mysterious with that, and I think that would have really added to the story to help keep the tension up, to help keep us on the edge of our seats throughout this story. The diary, in my opinion, wasn't used to its best or fullest extent. The names were also a little bit confusing. I listened to this on audiobook, and I ended up having to go get a character list to help me understand all of the different characters. Unfortunately, when I did look at the character list, it kind of helped me piece together some clues to figure out the mystery of this. I'm not sure if I would have solved this on my own. If I hadn't looked at that character list, it's really hard to say. I found some of the characters a little bit confusing. They weren't as fleshed out, I don't think, as they needed to be in the beginning or as distinguishable, and I think that was, again, why I needed to use the character list. This next section will contain spoilers, just FYI if you don't want to be spoiled. Again, I don't know if it was because of the character list or if it was just her writing in general, but I did know who Hal's father was before it was revealed. I thought it was pretty obvious as far as the list of characters. Every once in a while I had some doubts as to, oh, maybe it could have been this character or that character, but it really seemed that there was only one choice as to who her father could have been. I also felt that the motives of the characters were not as well developed as they could have been. For example, Ezra killing Maggie. While he did have some sociopathic tendencies, I wanted more from that. I wanted more development of that, more reasoning. What I thought would have been really interesting would have been, since her mother was named Maggie, to relate her more to the magpies that were at the estate. And maybe Ezra being a little bit sociopathic as a kid, maybe he killed some of the magpies, some foreshadowing, something. I just wanted more from that story. It just seemed like he killed Maggie because he had to for the plot. We didn't get as much there as I would have liked. It also seemed like there were some strange motives as far as Maggie, Mrs. Westaway, Mrs. Warren. When we see the flashbacks in the diary, Mrs. Westaway, I believe, is the one that locked Maggie up in the attic. She locked her up in the attic. She sometimes denied her food. She did all of this. Maud, her cousin, then had to help her escape. I wanted more from Mrs. Westaway as far as her reasonings, motives for locking Maggie up. And then again, we get this weird change of character at the end where she, I guess, realizes her mistakes and then wants to give her estate to Hal to rectify what she did in the past. It just seemed like the motives were all over the place there. What I thought could have been more interesting would be if Maud was still alive and she was the one that somehow influenced Mrs. Westaway or secretly rewrote the will to include Hal. I think throughout it, I wanted Maud to still be alive in some way to swoop in and help Hal, but that just didn't happen. Again, the motives of these characters just kind of seemed underdeveloped and forced just to make the story pan out the way that Ruth Ware wanted it to. So to wrap up, I found this to be a fun and enjoyable read, solid 3.5 stars. I've only read one other Ruth Ware book, but this is by far her better novel. I read The Woman in Cabin 10 a few years ago. She really, again, excels with both of these novels and the atmosphere, the settings, the creepiness of it. But this one definitely had a better ending. It had a better overall story. It was better as far as pacing, style, everything. So I can really see her evolving as a writer, and I'm excited to check out some more of her works in the future. This is definitely her best book. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure to hit subscribe, and I'll have a new video for you soon. Bye!